The celestial horizon hummed with the steady rhythm of deep space travel, its corridors bathed in the soft blue glow of bioluminescent panels. Chief Engineer Lara Hale shuffled toward the mess hall at 0600 hours, her auburn hair still disheveled from sleep, her eyes half closed in that universal expression of pre-caffeine misery that transcended species and star systems. She had one mission. One singular, sacred purpose that stood between her and the 14-hour shift ahead. Coffee. Not the synthesized nutrient slurry that the Galactic Coalition deemed adequate for human consumption. Not the herbal tea the Zenteria crew members kept pushing on her with their 6 arms and well-meaning chittering. No real, honest-to-God Arabica coffee from Earth, smuggled aboard in her personal effects and rationed like liquid gold. Lyra entered the mess hall and stopped dead. Her coffee mug, the ceramic one with "I turn coffee into engineering miracles," printed on the side, sat empty on the table. The French press lay on its side, drained. And standing on the table, looking entirely too pleased with themselves, were 3 Krath cubs, their orange-striped fur standing on end, their predatory eyes dilated to the size of dinner plates. "No," Lyra whispered, her voice cracking. "No, no, no." The largest cub, Tarek, tilted his head at her. His ears twitched. Then, moving faster than anything that size had any right to move, he bounced off the table, ricocheted off a wall panel, and disappeared down the corridor in a blur of hyperactive energy. His siblings followed, yowling with manic glee. The mess hall fell silent. Commander Voss, a 7-foot Draknari with scales like polished obsidian, looked up from his protein paste with obvious concern. "Engineer Hale?" he rumbled. "Are you functioning properly?" Lyra's eye twitched. She turned slowly toward him, and something in her expression made the apex predator take an involuntary step backward. "They drank," she said quietly, "my coffee?" Voss's tail curled defensively. "Perhaps you could replicate, 'They drank my coffee.'" The ship's intercom crackled to life. "Engineering to all stations. Minor power fluctuations detected in ... Wait, scratch that. Major power fluctuations. The Cubs just breached the reactor observation deck." "How did they? Mother of stars, they're climbing the plasma conduits." Lyra was already running. What followed would be recorded in the Celestial Horizon's logs as the incident and would be required study material at the Coalition Engineering Academy for the next 2 decades. Tarek and his siblings, their small Krath bodies flooded with enough caffeine to kill most species, had achieved a state of hyperkinetic chaos previously thought impossible by xenobiologists. They phased through ventilation shafts, triggered proximity sensors in 17 different sections simultaneously, and somehow managed to activate the ship's emergency defense protocols while playing what appeared to be an elaborate game of tag. And Lyra Hale, running on pure spite and the ghost of her stolen coffee, pursued them. "Engineer Hale, please report to the bridge." Captain Sirith's voice echoed through the corridors, barely masking her panic. "The ship's energy output has increased to 127% and climbing. We don't understand." "It's me!" Lyra shouted, not breaking stride as she vaulted over a bewildered Zenturi ensign. "I'm rerouting power from life support to the engines." "You're what?" "We don't need full life support if everyone would just help me catch these furry little disasters." In the reactor room, Tarek clung to a support beam, his tiny claws embedded in the metal, his pupils so dilated his eyes looked black. He made a sound somewhere between a purr and a supersonic shriek. "Tarek," Lyra panted, her hands flying across the engineering console as she manually overrode safety protocols that had been in place for 3 centuries. "Come down from there, please." The Cub's response was to leap directly onto the main plasma regulator. Warning klaxons blared. The ship lurched. And Lyra Hale did something that no Coalition engineer had ever dared. She redirected the overflow from the plasma core directly into the propulsion matrix, manually calibrated the antimatter flow in real time, and turned the Celestial Horizon into the fastest vessel in the sector. The ship wasn't just running at 200% energy anymore. It was running at 237% and climbing. "This is impossible," Voss shouted over the com. "The human is violating every known principle of—" "She's not violating them," The ship's Sceneria science officer interrupted, all 6 of his arms frantically working different consoles. She's rewriting them. On the view screen, stars stretched into lines. The ship groaned and sang. Its frame stressed beyond design specifications, but holding because Lyra Hale knew every bolt, every circuit, every temperamental system aboard this vessel, and she was personally keeping it together through sheer determination and intimate knowledge of where to hit the control panels. After 47 minutes of absolute chaos, Tarek finally tired. His siblings had already collapsed in various parts of the ship, tiny furry speed bumps snoring off their caffeine high. The young Krath fell from the support beam directly into a magnetic containment net Lyra had rigged. She caught him, holding the exhausted cub at arm's length. "You," she said, her voice hoarse, her uniform covered in coolant and what she hoped was just lubricant. "Oh, me coffee," Tarek yawned, showing rows of needle-sharp teeth, and began to purr. The celestial horizon drifted in space, its energy output slowly returning to normal levels. In the mess hall, the entire crew had gathered to watch Lyra Hale drink a fresh cup of coffee, this one prepared by Captain Sirith herself, using the emergency rations from her personal quarters. "For the record," Voss said, his voice filled with reluctant admiration, "humans are terrifying." "Incorrect," the Zentari science officer corrected, reviewing his data. "Humans deprived of coffee are terrifying. Humans properly caffeinated are merely extremely dangerous." Lyra took a long sip and sighed. Tarek, now supervised by his mortified Krath parents, watched her from across the room with something approaching respect in his predatory eyes. The ship hummed contentedly around them, its systems purring like a well-fed cat. Every circuit optimized and every power coupling calibrated to perfection, all because one human engineer had decided that the laws of physics were more like suggestions when someone stole her coffee. And in the depths of space, word began to spread, never ever mess with a human's morning ritual.